The sound of fabric tearing cut through the crowded mall. Kiara Benson looked down as Sloane Harcourt ripped open the sleeve of her faded brown jacket. "There," Sloane said loudly. "Now everyone can see what thieves hide beneath cheap clothes." Shoppers stopped outside the luxury boutique. A security guard moved closer. Kiara, a 32-year-old black maid with deep brown skin, held the torn sleeve against her arm. "That jacket belonged to my mother." Sloane smiled. "Then she should have taught you not to steal. Before one cruel accusation exposes a secret buried inside that jacket, subscribe to the channel and tell us where you are watching from." Kiara had finished a 14-hour shift at the Mercer penthouse and crossed the mall only to collect her younger sister's asthma medicine. She still wore her maid's uniform beneath the jacket. Sloane had spotted her near the boutique where billionaire Elias Mercer was attending a charity meeting upstairs. 5 minutes earlier, Sloane claimed a diamond bracelet had vanished from her handbag. Now she pointed at Kiara. "She followed me from the apartment. I came for medicine. Security can decide that." The guard held out his hand. May I search your bag?" Kiara gave him the pharmacy receipt and opened the canvas tote. Inside were an inhaler, a bus pass, 2 apples, and a sealed wage envelope. No bracelet. Sloane's expression hardened. "Check her pockets." Kiara stepped back. "You have no reason." "I have every reason. People like you learn the value of things after entering homes they could never afford." Several shoppers raised phones to record. Kiara felt heat behind her eyes, but refused to lower her head. "I clean your home. That does not make me dishonest." Sloane grabbed the other side of the jacket. "Then you won't mind proving it." She pulled hard. The front seam split from shoulder to waist. Kiara's blouse and black uniform were exposed to the corridor. A woman nearby said, "That's enough." Sloane ignored her and shook the jacket as though stolen jewelry might fall out. Instead, a white envelope slipped from the torn lining and landed on the polished floor. Kiara stared at it. She had never known it was there. Sloane reached first, but a man's hand closed over her wrist. "Don't." Elias Mercer stood beside her. He had arrived in time to see Kiara holding her jacket together while strangers filmed. His eyes moved from the torn fabric to Sloane's hand. "What did you do?" Sloane softened her voice. "She stole my bracelet. I was trying to stop her leaving." "You tore off her clothes in public?" "I was searching for evidence." "You are not security." "She works for us." Elias removed his dark wool coat and wrapped it around Kiara's shoulders. The coat covered her torn uniform and blocked the nearest cameras. For the first time since the accusation began, Kiara felt someone in that corridor had seen her as a person rather than hired help. "Delete those recordings," he told security. "Move everyone back." Sloane stared at the coat around Kiara. "You're protecting her before you know the truth." "I know enough to see who was being humiliated." Kiara held the coat closed. "Sir, I didn't take anything." "I believe that." Sloane laughed sharply. "Because she looked wounded. Because your bracelet is on your wrist." Everyone looked. A diamond chain glittered beneath the cuff of Sloane's cream blouse. For 1 second, she seemed genuinely surprised. Then she covered it. "I forgot I put it on." Kiara studied her. "No. You checked your wrist before you accused me." Sloane's face changed. Kiara remembered the boutique window. Sloane had adjusted both sleeves while watching Kiara approach. She had known exactly where the bracelet was. The accusation had never been about theft. It had been about the jacket. Elias picked up the envelope. Sloane reached for it. "That fell from my shopping bag." Kiara shook her head. "It came from the lining." The envelope was yellow with age. Across the front, in faded blue ink, someone had written, "For Elias Mercer, only if they hurt my daughter." Kiara stopped breathing. She recognized the handwriting. Her mother, Sloane Benson, had died 9 years earlier after collapsing during a night shift at Mercer Tower. Elias read the name twice. "You're Sloane Benson's daughter?" "Yes." His expression changed from confusion to guilt. "My mother spoke about Lorraine before she died." Sloane stepped between them. "This is obviously staged." Elias ignored her and opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph of Lorraine standing beside Elias's late mother in the same mall 20 years earlier. Behind them was a children's store that no longer existed. On the back, Lorraine had written, "The girl in the red coat did not fall. Sloane's father pushed her." Elias went still. "My sister died here when she was 6. Kiara looked at Sloane. Sloane's confident expression disappeared. The fire alarm suddenly rang. Metal shutters began dropping over every exit. Sloane grabbed the envelope and ran toward the staff corridor. Elias called after her, but Kiara noticed something else. Beneath the torn lining, a tiny key was stitched into the hem. It carried the number 214. The same number displayed above the mall's abandoned lost child room. Then a voice came through the emergency speakers. "Kiara Benson," it said. "Bring the key to room 214, or your sister will not receive her next breath." The emergency speaker repeated Kiara's name. "Bring the key to room 214. Come alone." Kiara's phone vibrated inside Elias's coat. A video call opened without her touching the screen. Her younger sister, Maya, sat in a pharmacy storeroom, struggling to breathe. A gloved hand held her inhaler beyond her reach. "Maya." The camera shifted toward a clock. 10 minutes. Then the call ended. Elias moved toward the staff corridor. "I'm coming with you," the voice said alone. "People who threaten sick women usually lie." Kiara looked at the brass key stitched inside her mother's jacket. "Before we unlock the room her mother spent 9 years hiding, subscribe and comment what you would risk to save someone you love, because the person behind that door already knows Kiara's answer." Mall Security Chief Daniel Cross hurried over. The shutters were activated using an executive code. "Whose?" Elias asked. "Your fiancé's father still has access from when his company owned the mall." Kiara remembered the warning. Sloane's father pushed her. "Where is room 214? Daniel pointed toward the abandoned children's wing. It was a lost child room before renovation. Sealed for 19 years. "Since Elias's sister died," Kiara said. Elias looked at her. "My family said Lily fell from the upper railing." Kiara held up the photograph. Lorraine wrote that Sloane's father pushed her. They entered the dark corridor. Elias followed several steps behind. The key opened a gate marked 214. Inside, faded cartoon clouds covered the walls. A tiny red coat hung from a wooden hook. Elias stopped. That was Lily's. Kiara approached it. One sleeve was torn, and a brass button was missing. The same button appeared in the photograph beside Lorraine's shoe. "She was there when Lily died," Kiara said. A television switched on. Sloane appeared beside Maya inside the mall's basement clinic. She held the inhaler. "Put the key into the red box beneath the coat." Kiara looked down. A child-sized metal box sat beneath the hook. "What's inside?" "The reason your mother died poor." Elias stepped into view. Sloane's expression sharpened. "I said alone. You accused an innocent woman of theft while wearing your bracelet," he said. "Your instructions mean nothing." Sloane pressed her thumb over the inhaler nozzle. Maya gasped. Kiara moved between Elias and the camera. "Stop. I'll do it." She inserted the key. Inside the box were a microcassette, a payroll slip, and the missing brass button. Elias reached for the cassette. Sloane shouted, "Don't play it." Kiara pressed it into an old recorder. Her mother's voice filled the room. "My name is Lorraine Benson. On October 14th, I saw Victor Harcourt arguing with 6-year-old Lily Mercer near the upper railing." Elias gripped the table. Lily found a red ledger in his briefcase. He grabbed her arm. When I tried to intervene, he pushed her away. She fell through a maintenance opening that should have been locked. The recording crackled. Victor paid security to call it an accident. Mrs. Mercer tried to expose him. Then he used payroll records to dismiss every worker who supported her. Kiara unfolded the slip. Lorraine Benson, terminated for dishonesty. Beneath it, final wages withheld. Medical coverage cancelled. Kiara's throat tightened. My mother's heart medicine stopped being covered 2 months before she died. Elias looked sick. My company did that. Your family's company. You were 19. But I inherited the silence. The cassette continued. If my daughter finds this, tell her I did not keep quiet. I hid proof where Victor would search only if he hurt her first. The tape ended. Sloane's image vanished. A message appeared. Bring the cassette to the basement clinic. 5 minutes. Daniel examined the wall panel. If we cut the clinic's power, the shutters open, but the treatment room locks permanently. Kiara looked at Maya's image. We cut nothing until she's out. They entered the service elevator. Halfway down, it stopped. The lights turned red. Sloane's voice came through the speaker. Do you know why Lorraine's jacket matters? Your mother gave it to her the night Lily died. The lining contains fibers from Victor's coat and Lily's blood. Modern testing can place him at the railing. Kiara held the torn sleeve. Sloane had not ripped it to find jewelry. She had tried to destroy evidence. You knew proof was inside. I knew Lorraine hid something. So you accused me publicly to justify searching me. Sloane laughed. People believe theft when the accused wears a uniform. The elevator dropped. Elias grabbed the rail while Kiara pulled the emergency brake. The car stopped above the basement. They forced the doors apart and climbed out. The clinic corridor was dark except for a green pharmacy sign. They followed Maya's coughing. At the end, Sloane stood behind a glass treatment room with Maya beside an oxygen tank. Victor Harcourt stood with them. He held a lighter near the oxygen tube. Put the cassette and jacket inside the drawer, Victor ordered. Kiara studied the room. Maya's inhaler rested on the counter. Sloane's bracelet was missing 1 diamond. Kiara remembered a glittering object falling when Sloane tore the jacket. Not a diamond. A glass cutter. Sloane had planned to cut this window. Victor did not trust her either. Kiara slid in the cassette but kept the jacket. My sister first. Victor lifted the lighter. Evidence first. Elias stepped beside Kiara. If you ignite oxygen here, you die too. The back door opens with my ring. Sloane glanced at his hand. Kiara understood. Sloane had brought Maya there, but Victor planned to leave his daughter as the final witness. He's going to lock you in, Kiara told her. My father wouldn't. Victor turned toward Sloane. You were useful until Elias saw you. Her confidence broke. She raised her bracelet. The missing diamond concealed a metal point. She cut across the glass. Victor grabbed her hair. Kiara struck the weakened panel with a fire extinguisher. Glass collapsed inward. Elias pulled Maya toward the opening while Kiara sprayed Victor's lighter hand with freezing foam. Sloane reached for the inhaler. Victor caught her ankle. Kiara stepped through, twisted his wrist, and forced the lighter away. Maya took 1 breath from the inhaler. Then another. Police sirens rose beyond the reopening shutters. Victor laughed from the floor. You still cannot prove that jacket belonged to Lorraine. Kiara lifted the lining. A dry cleaning label was stitched beneath it. Mercer family account, October 14th. Elias recognized his mother's signature. Victor's face changed. Maya pointed toward the clinic camera. It recorded everything. The red light blinked. Then Daniel's voice came through Elias's radio. Do not leave the clinic. The woman in the red coat is alive. Elias looked toward Lily's childhood coat on the security feed. Daniel continued. She just entered room 214 and asked for Kira's mother. On the screen, a black woman removed the red coat and faced the camera. A scar crossed her forehead. Kiara recognized the silver locket buried with Lorraine Benson 9 years earlier. The woman held up a newspaper dated that morning, proving the footage was live. Then she spoke to Kiara. Your mother did not die from losing her medicine. She died because she came back here to save me. The woman on the security screen removed the red coat and stepped closer to the camera. My name is Simone Hale, she said. Lorraine Benson saved my life 9 years ago. Kiara stared at the silver locket around Simone's neck. That belonged to my mother. She gave it to me before Victor's men found us. Elias looked toward the clinic door. Victor Harcourt remained beneath an officer's knee, smiling. Kiara faced the screen. Where are you? Room 214. But do not bring Victor. He wants what your mother hid inside this coat. The feed widened. Lily Mercer's childhood red coat lay across the table beside Simone. Elias stepped closer. You said the woman in the red coat was alive. Are you talking about my sister? Simone looked directly at him. Yes. The answer instantly drained every sound from the room. Elias's face changed. My sister fell from the upper railing. She survived the fall, Simone said. Lorraine found her inside the maintenance level before Victor reached her. Victor shouted from the floor. She is lying. Kiara looked at the man who had accused her of theft, threatened Maya, and tried to destroy the jacket. Then you should have no reason to fear room 214. Victor stopped smiling. Elias ordered Daniel to secure him and escort Sloane separately. Then he, Kiara, Maya, and 2 officers returned through the service corridor. Maya walked slowly, still breathing through her inhaler. Kiara kept one arm around her. You should be at the hospital. And miss finding out why Mom hid a key in her jacket. Kiara wanted to argue, but Maya had inherited Lorraine's stubbornness. When they reached room 214, Simone opened the door before they knocked. She was middle-aged, with a scar across her forehead. She hugged Kiara and placed the locket in her hand. Your mother asked me to return this when the truth became safe. It never became safe, Kiara said. No. But you made it visible. Elias looked around the old room. Where is Lily? Simone pointed toward the wall covered with cartoon clouds. Behind the same place Lorraine hid the first recording. Kiara pressed the largest painted cloud. A narrow door opened into a former staff apartment. Inside, a woman sat near the window wearing a red sweater. She appeared fragile, but her eyes were clear. Elias stopped at the threshold. Lily? The woman looked up. You still tap twice before entering. His knees nearly gave way. He crossed the room and held his sister without speaking. Kiara turned away, giving them privacy. Simone opened a cabinet containing medical files, photographs, and payroll records. Lily suffered a head injury in the fall. Lorraine took her to a small clinic because Victor controlled nearby hospitals. Why didn't my family find her? Elias asked. Victor told your mother that Lily died before the ambulance arrived. Then he paid a doctor to create a death certificate. Lily released Elias and looked at Kiara. Lorraine tried to bring me home twice. The first time, Victor threatened her daughter. The second time, he found us. Kiara's throat tightened. What happened 9 years ago? Lily lowered her eyes. Your mother came back to the mall to collect the final payroll ledger. Victor's men caught her near the loading dock. Simone placed a small audio recorder on the table. I was there. Kiara pressed play. Victor's younger voice filled the room. Give me the ledger, Lorraine. Her mother answered, it belongs to the workers you robbed. You already lost your wages, insurance, and home. Do you want your daughters to lose more? A struggle followed. Then Lorraine said, run, Simone. The recording ended with a vehicle door slamming. Kiara held the recorder tightly. Did he kill her? Simone's eyes filled. He ordered his driver to leave her outside a closed clinic after she collapsed. She might have survived if anyone had called for help. Maya began crying. Elias looked toward the officers. That confession, the jacket fibers, Lily's testimony, and the clinic records are enough to reopen the case. Not yet, Lily said. She reached beneath the red coat and removed a folded mall map. Victor did not push me because I saw one ledger. I saw who handed it to him. A circle marked the mall's executive coffee shop. Kiara remembered Sloane accusing her near that same boutique. Who was there? Lily looked at Elias. Your mother. Elias stepped backward. My mother tried to expose Victor. She did later, Lily said. But that day, she signed the transfer that gave him control of worker insurance accounts. Simone opened another file. Payments taken from cleaners, maids, security guards, and retail workers had been routed through a company owned jointly by Victor Harcourt and Eleanor Mercer. Elias read the signatures. My mother stole from them. She tried to reverse it after my fall, Lily replied. Victor used her involvement to silence her. Kiara understood why Lorraine wrote the message only after Sloane hurt her daughter. The jacket did not prove one crime. It proved a partnership. A phone rang inside the red coat. Lily froze. That phone has been dead for years. Kiara answered on speaker. Sloane's voice came through. My father escaped police custody. Daniel checked his radio. One officer was down near the loading dock. Victor had taken a service weapon and disappeared into the mall. Sloane continued. He is going to the coffee shop. That is where Lorraine hid the original ledger. Kiara looked at the map. Why tell us? Because he left me locked inside the clinic and called me disposable. A gunshot echoed from the corridor. The lights failed. Emergency lamps turned the painted clouds red. Then Victor's voice came through the room's old speaker. Bring Lily and the jacket to the coffee shop, or Maya's inhaler will be the last medicine she ever receives. Kiara looked beside her. Maya was gone. On the floor lay her empty inhaler and a trail of coffee beans leading toward the executive wing. The coffee beans led through the dark executive corridor toward a cafe that had been closed since Lily's fall. Kiara moved first, carrying the torn jacket. Elias and 2 officers followed several steps behind. Lily remained in room 214 with Simone while paramedics treated her. At the cafe entrance, Victor's voice came through the speaker. Officers, stay outside. A live camera showed Maya seated behind the counter. Victor stood beside her with one hand around her inhaler and the other holding a pistol. Kiara faced the officers. He needs the jacket and Lily's testimony. If he shoots Maya, he loses his only leverage. That does not make him safe, Elias said. No. It makes him predictable. She entered alone. The cafe smelled of dust and old coffee grounds. Victor had dragged a metal cabinet from the wall. Behind it was a narrow safe bearing the Mercer family crest. Maya's breathing was shallow. Give her the inhaler, Kiara said. The jacket first. You already tore it open through your daughter. Whatever you wanted was not there. Victor smiled. Lorraine hid the safe combination inside its stitching. Kiara looked at the exposed lining. Tiny groups of brown thread ran beside the hem. 4 stitches, 2, 1, 6. A date. October 4, 2016, the day Lorraine died. Kiara understood why Victor had waited. He knew the jacket contained the code, but only Lorraine's daughter would recognize which date mattered. She held it up. Let Maya walk to me. Open the safe. Kiara entered the numbers. Inside lay the original payroll ledger, an audio recorder, and dozens of insurance cards belonging to mall cleaners, maids, guards, and retail workers. Victor reached for the ledger. Kiara closed the safe door on his hand. He shouted and fired. The bullet struck the espresso machine. Maya dropped behind the counter. Elias entered from the side passage and pulled her toward the exit. Victor swung the pistol toward him, but Kiara threw the heavy jacket over his arm. The fabric tangled the weapon long enough for her to strike his wrist. The gun slid beneath a table. Victor grabbed Kiara by the throat. You are exactly like Lorraine. Always mistaking stubbornness for power. Kiara drove her knee into his leg. My mother's power was making sure I reached this room after she could not. Victor fell against the counter. Maya crawled toward the inhaler, but he caught her ankle. Elias tackled him. The 2 men crashed through a glass display. Victor reached for a broken shard. Then Sloane appeared in the doorway. She held the missing pistol. Everyone froze. Victor extended his hand. Give it to me. Sloane looked at Kiara, still wearing Elias's coat over her torn uniform. For years, Sloane had measured power by who could be humiliated without consequence. Now her father looked at her with the same cold impatience he had shown every worker he used. You said we would leave together, she whispered. You failed me in public. No. I finally saw what success meant to you. She lowered the weapon and slid it toward the officers. Victor lunged for it. Kiara kicked it beyond his reach. Police entered and forced him to the floor. Maya used her inhaler and took a full breath. Kiara held her until the shaking stopped. Elias opened the ledger while officers photographed every page. It documented 20 years of stolen insurance deductions, forged disciplinary reports, withheld wages, and payments made to security officers who silenced complaints. The recorder contained Eleanor Mercer's final statement. Her voice filled the cafe. I signed the first transfer because Victor told me it would reduce costs without affecting workers. When Lily discovered the ledger, I learned what the accounts truly contained. Victor pushed her. Lorraine saved her. I spent the rest of my life trying to reverse what I helped create, but fear made me slow, and workers paid for that delay. Elias closed his eyes. His mother had not been innocent. She had eventually tried to expose Victor, but only after benefiting from the system. Kiara appreciated that the truth did not turn a wealthy woman into a spotless hero. Victor was charged with attempted murder, kidnapping, fraud, wage theft, evidence destruction, and responsibility for Lorraine's death. The clinic recording, jacket fibers, Lily's testimony, and original ledger tied him to both crimes. Sloane pleaded guilty to assault, false accusation, kidnapping, and helping destroy evidence. Her decision to surrender the gun reduced her sentence, but it did not erase what she had done to Kiara and Maya. Elias released every Mercer record to investigators. He returned stolen wages with interest, funded independent medical coverage for affected workers, and transferred mall oversight to a board elected by employees and tenants. He also resigned as chairman during the investigation. Lorraine Benson's employment record was corrected publicly. Her final wages were paid to her daughters, but Kiara donated the money to a legal fund for workers threatened after reporting abuse. 6 months later, the executive cafe reopened under a different name. The Lorraine Room. It offered free evening meals, legal clinics, and emergency medicine support to mall workers. The torn jacket hung inside a glass case near the entrance. Kiara had repaired neither sleeve. The damage belonged to the truth. Elias visited on opening night without photographers. You followed me into danger twice, Kiara said. I'm learning boundaries. Slowly. He offered her coffee. 1 cup. No gratitude disguised as romance. Agreed. Maya joined them wearing the bracelet Lorraine had hidden inside the safe. Lily and Simone sat nearby with former workers whose names had finally been restored. Sloane had torn Kiara's jacket because she believed poverty was something shameful to expose. Instead, she exposed the evidence her father feared. Elias's coat protected Kiara's dignity for one moment. But Kiara's courage protected hundreds of lives for years to come. And when people asked why the jacket remained torn, Kiara answered, because some wounds should stay visible until the people who caused them are held accountable.